I gave him the 1 minute signal. Hello guys, how are you? Here in the shop you got Debbie and Margie and Brittany.
Hey
and you'll be pleased to know that Brittany's putting kids together. So that's good. Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, let's talk about snow globes. And I probably should find mine. Where's my box of cards? Guys.
Which box?
Box of cards?
Is it the blue basket right there?
That's probably it right here, Margie. I've been cleaning.
I'm like, I don't know.
That's a dangerous thing. It's a very dangerous thing when I've been cleaning. Okay. Today we are going to do our snow globe cards. They are so fun. You are going to love these. Love, love, love them. And I included in the kit some UTEE, because we were talking about that last time. And I thought it would be fun if you guys could try it. So, in the kits for this class, it's a really big, generous, I didn't keep one for myself. It's a big packet, bigger than the glitter and embossing powder packets that I gave you. So it's a big, hi Kathy girl, and Brenda, and Alice, and Mirri. Did I get everybody? I think
Samantha?
so. Oh, Samantha, that's right. Hi, Samantha. And Daria. Hello. Hello. Well, it's nice to have you back with us, Daria. So,
Brenda said with your cleaning that you won't be able to find anything now.
Well, it's quite likely. Look at my table. Have you ever seen my table look this good? It's a frightening thing, really. Okay, so we have lots of different techniques in today's cards, which is kind of fun. We'll be doing some masking. We'll be doing some coloring. We'll be doing some die cutting. We'll be doing some UTEE. And yeah, it's going to be fun. So, the kit that I am using today has the Snow Globe stamp set and the Snow Globe die cutting set both. So it's a little bit more expensive kit because we have 2 full size items here from Hot Off the Press. And this set was already discounted off of retail, and then I discounted the whole set some more. So this really, really is a great value for the kit that we're using today. Also in our kit, we're going to, let's just take a look at what we've got here. We've got papers for stamping, we've got cards, we've got papers for die cutting, we've got ribbons, so let's go through it. These are for die cutting the bases of our snow globes. We've got this layering paper. There's one of my card bases. They're in no particular order here, of course. Now, if you have your kits there, you may notice that I have a different paper than you have. I didn't have quite enough of this plaid one, so I used exactly the same color in a stripe in a few of the kits. So I just wanted to say that mine and yours might be a little bit different than the example, or you may have the plaid. It just depends on which one you got, but they're both equally beautiful. They're just slightly different, perhaps. We have Opera Red Mirror Board. Isn't that beautiful? It's a really unusual kind of blue-based red. It's gorgeous. And that's going to cover one of our cards. Here's another one of my card bases. It's always reassuring when you see all of your card bases up front. So we have 1 5 1/4, 2 true 5s, and an A6 card base. More of my envelopes I'm just going to set aside. Look at that layering paper there. Now, this is another example where I said, give me examples of both of them so I can show them what they might have. In my sample card, I used this one, but once again, I discovered I couldn't get quite enough kits out of that one, so some of you may have this one. I think you'll agree they're equally beautiful, just slightly different. We have all these beautiful pieces of glitter paper, and that's because we're going to make one of our snow globes out of stamped on glitter paper. I stamped with our, hi Betty McSorley. I stamped with our hybrid stamping pad right onto the glitter paper, and it worked really well. So that's what we're going to do here. And that's what these are all about, is for die cutting. Then I have a bunch more layering sheets and die cutting sheets here. This is a background. This is, I love this image, by the way. I totally love it. This, I wanted to show you that we could actually make snow globes out of papers in your stash. So what I did was I went to my stash of things and I saw these aquatic Arctic animals, and it has penguins, and it has, although they're not really in the not really in the northern hemisphere, but nonetheless, it has penguins, and it has seals, and it has a beluga whale and a narwhal. And I thought that would be really fun to make one. It kind of looks like somewhere between a snow globe and an aquarium. And our UTEE powder could kind of represent water. So that's why I gave you this. We're going to cut out, hi Glenda, we're going to cut out a circle of your choice, and we're going to make a snow globe with regular paper so that you can see how that works. A lot of times we have these printed paper pads and things that might have cute Santas and elves and those kinds of things. You can actually use those to make your own snow globes and just take the paper as it's printed. So that's what we're going to use that one for. That's actually die cutting paper. We've got some more layering sheets here with our mirror board. We've got some more of this one. These two I gave you because this one with all the sayings on it, I thought would make really wonderful sentiments for some of your cards. And you have all kinds of choices, so it's really just a matter of what will fit your card of choice. And I used one of them on this card. I used the Snow Blessed, and I have that one here. I also have a Let It Snow. So there's a couple of Snow Blessed. No matter what you do or which piece you got, you're going to have a variety of fun sayings that you can use on some of your winter cards. So that's fun to. This is another one, Alice, that if you have any Christmas papers in your stash, you most likely have one of these sentiment sheets. And people just don't always think about going to the sentiment sheet and cutting out the sentiments and actually using them as that. So that was one of my thoughts with this one. Now, I have several snow globes, and a number of my snow globes have holly on top. but it didn't have, I didn't really want to get into sending another die cut. And our kit was already expensive enough, and I didn't want to go ahead and find another die or sticker or something of that nature to make these. So what I did was I took this piece of holly paper that had little holly bunches just about the size that I wanted, and I just fussy cut these out, and I turned them into embellishments by glittering them up with my glitter and embossing powder that we did a week or two ago. Was that last week, wasn't it? Last week. And I did the same thing with Snow Blessed. I did my glitter and embossing powder on there, and it just looks terrific with my die cut snowman and all the glitter paper there. So that was really fun. So that's why I'm giving you that, another couple backing papers, and we're good to go. So I just kind of wanted to explain to you what the method was of my madness in your kit. We also have our pretty ribbons, as we have 3 cards that have ribbons in them. Let's go ahead and get started here. I just have to decide which one we want to start with. You guys want to die cut first, or do you want to do embossing first? You pick. I always have half of you say one thing and half the other thing.
I don't know. I think it's half and half.
Okay, embossing. I think we have
gets
to.
The first answer, right?
Yeah. Alice is quick on the draw. Okay, we're going to do a little of both, actually. Let's do that. Let's find our our larger 5 1/4 inch card. And let's get that one out. Oh, there it is. That's my stamping papers. I didn't even say I had those in here. Okay, we're going to use the largest card, the longest card that's not folded. And we are going to start by covering that card with some of our Mirri. So let's get that done and out of our way. And we're going to start with this Arctic Animals card, because that gives us both die cutting in and embossing, and it's a pretty easy one to start with. So I'm going to fold my card. I'm going to put down my 3 layers, or my 3 rows of tape. I've been creating today for our class for next week, and I'm pretty excited about what I'm coming up with. I'll show you that before we're done, and show you live views of our other fun classes we have coming up. I'm very excited about each of the projects we have coming. They're going to be really, really cool. I don't know if some of you have seen Hortensia yet. It was on the newsletter I sent out last night, and it was on the newsletter that I sent out this morning. Those of you who had the Craftaganza code got one last night, and everybody else got the notice of the download today. And I'm really excited about the Hortensia cards and how they're turning out. Such a weird name for such a beautiful paper.
It really is pretty.
Not that it's such a bad name, it's just an unusual name, Hortensia. Flip my card over after I peel my tape and just cut it around the back so that I can get a quick and easy way to face my card there.
Mary asked if this is a good time to show tape flags.
Sure. We can do that. Let me. Well, we have to put our bow on first, but we probably could do that. Let's see. I just have to I have to decide what my paper size is going to be first. So my card is, I'm going to measure it because anytime I don't, disaster occurs. My card is 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. I'm going to start with a 5, I think so. I think I'll start with 5 by 5, and I think that's going to work out to be just the right size, but we'll find out here. And that looks beautiful. Okay, we're going to need to tie our bow. So we'll get our bow maker out. Come on. And I want this blue one. And I'm just going to tie a simple, a super simple bow. We're going to tie a number 5 single. I am going to leave a little bit of extra tail on there so I can wrap it around my card. Just about that much is going to be okay because it just has to go around the corner. And I'm going to go to 5. I'm going to come back at 5. I'm going to go down through the hole, come up through the back, and right through the middle where the tines are further apart. I'm going to tie these off in a single knot. And then I'm going to pull off my very pretty bow, straighten it out and tighten it up a little if it needs it. It actually looks pretty darn good. And then I'm going to put some tape on the back of my bow.
And Debbie, just to make sure that those who are new know that if you need a more in-depth bow learning time, that there is a bow kit and a class that they can look up on YouTube.
Yes, there most certainly is. This is metallic sparkle ribbon. We have a variety of colors of this in the store. It just has a beautiful sparkle to it, doesn't it? Metallic sparkle ribbon. I was trying out a new vendor for this ribbon, and I wanted to see if it was as good as what we were getting, because it was a little bit less. So I had some rolls of this sitting on the table, and everything's getting sparkly ribbon because that's what's sitting in front of me. That's the truth, guys.
I'm not sure if you answered this, so bear with me if you did, but Alice asked earlier, do you sell the sentiment sheets separately? She likes the variety.
We do not actually, because that was just out of one of my one of my Christmas pads. So unfortunately I do not, but you have several extra greetings right on your sheet. And when Michael's, I know I'm sending you the competition, but you know me well enough to know I'm going to get you where you're going to get the best deals. And when you need something I sell, I hope you come to me. But when Michael's does their Christmas specials, some of their Christmas pads will be priced at a level I can't touch them. that I just can't touch them. And this actually came out of one of my Christmas pads. So the more of these things that we use, the more you'll have an idea what you're looking for when you have a chance to, if you have a chance to shop in store or look through for those. Okay, while I was talking, I put tape all the way across the back of my bow and my, oops, I did do something stupid though. I clipped off my ribbon, but oh, darn it.
Do you need
I
another
need
one?
a little piece.
Here, Debbie. We've got extras.
I have an extra sitting here, but don't do what I just did. I threw away my extra, and I needed my extra. We only need this much. You have plenty when you trim off the tails to make what we're going to make here. What was I going to say? I don't know. So I put my ribbon, or my tape right across the back of my ribbon, like that. I don't have to use the best glue ever for this because we're wrapping it right around our card and we're adhering it in the back. So we're going to put this one just across the lower corner of our card. And we're going to leave about, I don't know, if you measured from the corner, maybe 3/4 of an inch each way, which would end up being a 1/2 inch up to the ribbon in the center. And we're just going to wrap it around like that. Now, doesn't that look pretty? It's just a really nice treatment, and it only takes just the smallest amount. It's a great way to use up, if you have short pieces of ribbon, tying this little bow takes very little ribbon because it only has a little ways to go to wrap around the bottom of our card, and then use a clip-off piece just to do the other side here. So you get it's a really nice way to work with a small piece of ribbon. I'm going to say you could probably do this card with, I think I gave you a little more than this, but I bet you could do this with like 18 inches of ribbon. You could come really close to getting that, sure. I think. Okay.
Debbie, in the store, I think it's called glitter metallic ribbon. Does that sound right?
This, yes, it's got its own category under ribbon in the store. So go to Bow Makers and then go to ribbon, and then it has its own category. Hi, Betty Gosnell. How are you? I always try to call you Gosnell, and I think I knew somebody that had that name once. But it's not. It's Gosnell, right? There's no N. Okay. We're going to put one piece of tape down to either side. You know me, I like my third row, but I'm not going to put that in this time because we're going to use our tape flags to position this piece of paper. What tape flags are is me too. I've had lots of jobs. I've been called some very creative things. I've been told to do things with my anatomy that I don't think was physically possible. So what we're going to do, nope, keep looking. Nope, that's not it. This is not the. Yeah, I'll put a link. I'll put a link to it. Okay, Alice. That'll be the easiest way.
I'll quit cutting ribbons over here, and I'll just look it up and type it in.
Okay, so once you put your tape down, you're going to make a little flag coming out to the side. You're going to expose like 1 inch of your adhesive, and then fold your paper out to the side and make a little flag. The method to our madness here is twofold. One, by exposing just a little bit of adhesive, it's not going to get overly tacked down to our card. And that is okay. Last week someone was asking about inserts. Debbie was the hunky dory trim me. They are sentiment inserts. Oh, is that what you were asking for? Was the sentiment inserts? Because yes, I do have trim me inserts. They're selling really fast, so I don't know how many I have right this minute, but I believe we have more in our next order. Okay, so I've got my tape flags on, and the purpose of this is twofold. Ideally, what I'm trying to do is to center my paper without it sticking down too hard yet. So my tape flags will allow me to be able to move this around on my sheet without having it stick too much. So they're asking if you will also send them a link to the inserts, and they're in the insert category, Margie. So what I will do is I will lay down my paper. I will shift it around until I get it pretty much right where I want it. Once I've got it where I want it, I will tap it a little bit at the top and let that adhesive stick in place. I don't like it yet. But since I only have a tiny bit of adhesive, I can actually release that. See that? I can release it without tearing up my paper. So I've got my corner straighter now. I like that better. I'm going to tap those two corners. Then I'm going to take this hand and I'm going to firmly hold my paper and I'm going to remove this tape flag. Then I'll take this hand, hold my paper firmly, and I will remove this tape flag. And what that has allowed me to do is to safely center my image on my mirror board. So I think all of you guys are regular viewers and you've probably seen that before, but remembering about tape flags is a good thing. It's a most excellent technique. Okay, next we're going to do some die cutting.
So the light blue, if you're specifically looking in mind to purchase light blue, we are currently out.
Okay, the light blue is currently out of stock, but let's just link them to the category. It's in a category,
Sure.
right?
I couldn't find it specifically in a category, but I can pull up to make it.
I will.
Category.
That's okay, guys. I'll put them in a category and I will link it in the newsletter. Don't worry about that one. Just go ahead and find the trim me inserts form if you would.
It's right there in the.
Okay, I'm going to get my die cutting tools out here and I want to cut myself a couple of things. I want to cut, I'm going to get let's take a look at what we get in here. You get the base to your snow globe. We're going to cut this twice on our brown paper, so let's get our brown paper out. I'm going to cut one in light brown, one in dark brown. So I'll be cutting that twice. I'm going to be cutting some snowflakes in just white paper. And I'm going to be cutting, this ring right here in this piece of mirror board. What I was going for here is kind of ice. I'm also going to be cutting, I'm going to decide which animals I want to show in my window. So if I want to feature the beluga whale with the little seal swimming above it, I'm just going to position around that. If I'd rather have the narwhal, I don't know, is it narwhal or narwhal? Brittany was a biology. Narwhal. Okay. Brittany was a biology, an aquatic biology, right?
Marine.
Marine biology major. So she studied in Alaska in Juneau. How is that? That was a beautiful place to go to school. Did you ever see a narwhal?
No, they're further up in the Arctic.
Oh, okay. They're further up in the Arctic, she says. I think they're really fascinating creatures. They look like a unicorn in the sea. I think I really like this beluga whale with the little seal swimming sideways over the top. Other seals kind of peeking in. I think that's what I'm going to cut. So I'm going to position my ring over what I want. Now I do have a little bit of buffer here because I'm going to put this surround around my image. So I actually have a little tiny bit of buffer there that I can use. Now I think I like this. And I'm going to tape it in place gently. That is true, Mary. We probably will have some people watching that, even though you guys know that tip now, we'll probably have some people watching later that don't yet know it. So it's good to remind me to do that stuff. So thank you for that. Now, even though this is super lightweight tack on this tape, I wouldn't push this tape down real hard to your paper because it can still tear. So go gently. You don't need a lot to hold that ring in place. And then we got our snowflakes, and I think that's the extent of cutting that we're going to do. So let's get with the program here and start doing some cutting. Now with most die cutters, when you're going to cut something super simple like this ring, you don't need a lot of shims and stuff in there. It will usually just, a simple shape will usually cut right out. I am going to trim my paper a little bit though, because my paper is 6 inches wide and I want to get my die in from the very edge where it might be bumping into the edge of the machine, because I have it right on the edge of the paper. So I'm going to cut a little bit of my paper out, and I'm just going to position this die again. I'm going to tape this in place, and I'm going to cut out my circle. And easy as that. I have my disc all cut out for my snow globe. I'll put my die away so I know where it is when I want it next time. Next up, I'm going to cut myself a piece of this mirror board. And again, I think this is a fairly straightforward image. It's not real lacy, so I'm not concerned about shimming this. If your plates are worn, you might still have to shim, but the dies are pretty good and the pattern is simple. So for most machines that don't have too worn of pads, you won't have to shim these. When you're cutting on mirror board, you're cutting into the face of the mirror board. If you cut it upside down, you'll get a rough edge. You want to cut into the plastic film that's over the mirror board first to get a nice clean edge. That's actually a really pretty piece that comes out, but that's not what we're looking for. It's a good one to save though. And we're going to pop out our ring. And now we have the ring to go on our snow globe. But we're not going to just be satisfied with this, because we're going to be embossing this snow globe before we put that on there. I'm going to put my ring away. Okay. Next, I'm going to cut my bases. And I think that because this base piece, well, maybe not. I was going to say I could probably cut them both at once. But I'm not going to do that because I actually want to use these dotted lines to cut this apart and layer it. So actually I can do that because only one needs to be cut apart. I want the dark, whatever piece I want to be the base piece needs to be on the bottom, and the one I'm going to cut needs to go on the top. You should have plenty of brown and tan paper to make several bases for your snow globes. This one I actually might have to shim. We'll see. It's a pretty simple design, so I don't know. Yep, got them both. Okay, so we cut 2 of those, and I'm going to do a little bit of trimming and layering here, just to make this look even more like wood. Now the paper I've sent you actually has a little bit of a grain to it. If you look at it, you'll see that it actually has a little bit of a grain to it, but this is going to make it look even more realistic like wood, because I'm going to trim down and I'm going to give this multicolored rings like I did on this one, which kind of makes it look even more like a wooden base. So I'm going to trim out this first narrow strip. Thank you, honey. And then I'm going to trim off this bottom base piece. And I'm going to glue that in place. These 2 are discard unless you want to just alternate them with the next brown one. You could do that. And I'm going to glue these in place. And I kind of got some messiness on my feet there from my glue. As long as I don't saturate my paper and I just kind of dab it away, I can actually wipe that off so that it doesn't dry clear there where you see it. It'll actually look pretty good. So I'm going to put it down. I'm actually going to wipe it off a little bit more with my paper towel. Little things like cleaning up your glue lines are what will make your cards look really, really professional. You know, if you have those little bits of glue, you might say, well, it dries clear, I don't have to worry about that. But if the light's at an angle and you can see it in an angle, having those bits of glue there can be distracting from the prettiness of your work. So, okay, so I have my base done. We are ready to emboss. Might go ahead before I do that, just so that I can, if I want to, I'm going to cut out a few of my snowflakes so that I can emboss my snowflakes if I want to also. Don't really have to, but if you want to stay with the theme of your glitter, we could emboss these with the glitter. So let's put down, get a piece of our paper here. That's my card. I don't want to use that. We have given you a couple pieces of working paper. And let's put some snowflakes on here. Is anybody working along with me today? Oh, that's okay. Nobody's answering, so my guess is probably not, because the kids haven't been up all that long. Yeah. I know that there are kits en route to you. What do we do when we put in more than one die? We tape them down. Right? So I'm going to cut myself a couple of snowflakes. I may not cut all the snowflakes out to finish my card. If I don't have anybody else working with me, I'll show you the finished example with the snowflakes on it. But that way we're not going to take up a lot of extra time me doing that. I will get just a couple more here though. I love these snow globe cards. I think they're really cool. I want to show you something about these snowflakes. I think I said that a second ago and then I got distracted and moved on. On the small snowflake, you actually have two different styles in one. This is what it looks like as one whole piece, and you can use some of them like that. But see the little snowflake in the center? By popping that little one out, I end up with what looks like 3 styles of snowflakes out of 2 dies. Because this looks very different once I pop out that tiny piece than it did with that piece inside. So make some of each, because that'll give you a little bit more variety to work with. I'm going to take one more, so I think I'm going to need at least 6 just to kind of illustrate where we're going here. This is a very, very, very popular snow globe kit. You may be wondering, huh?
It's a very nice kit. I like mine.
Yeah. You may be wondering why we still have them if we've been away from hot off the press for a while. And the reason for that is that when I knew that Hot Off the Press was discontinuing their wholesale operations, I bought a whole bunch of these because it's a very, very, very popular set. Which means the good news is I still have some The bad news is I won't have them forever. So if you like what we're doing here, I encourage you to, you don't have to run right out. I never want to make you feel like that. But I do want to let you know there is a finite number. I have more of the stamp sets than I have of the dies. The dies will go first. And if you can find your way clear to do it, and I know there's a lot of kits coming at you, and you have to sometimes make your choices. But if you decide you want one, don't wait too long. Yes. But then again, I say that I never really know for sure what's going to happen. I'm going to move these out of my way. We're going to bring our embossing gun down here. And I'm going to bring a piece of scratch paper in. Move my wet wipe out of the way where it's not getting anything soggy. Bring in a piece of scratch paper. And let's do this image first. I'm going to grab my Prism stamp pad, and I did get the right one. I'm going to stamp all over my image. I'm going to get it nice and moist. And then I'll flip over my paper. I'm going to take the UTEE, also known as Ultra Thick Embossing Enamel, and I'm going to pour the UTEE right over the top of my image. Now you will notice right away when you pour this that this is much, much grainier than what we're used to using. This looks more like sand. See that? Unlike the powders that we were using that were super fine, this is a much, much grainier powder. I see a little bit that's kind of a little bit bare, and I don't want to have bare spots, so I'm just pouring a little bit back on. And now it's time to cook this. I'm going to set it down just for 1 second. I'm going to close, well, I'm going to pour back my UTEE before I end up pouring it all over myself, which I will do. You know that about me. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And a 1 pound jar of this UTEE retails for like $34. So you got more than an ounce in your packets. So yes, this kit's a very, very good value. You guys have the advantage of the fact that there's a lot I want to show you, and I also try to be conscientious of your budget, so you end up getting really good deals because I want it in there.
Debbie Alice asked if the UTEE is clear, or did you add some microfine glitter to it?
This is clear. We can add microfine glitter to it. We can actually make multiple coats. I just put the UTEE on to begin with to just demonstrate what that is. And let's take a look at this one. You can use multiple layers. Just that coat that we put on there. I want you to see the little bubbly surface. Can you see that? Does that show? The little, it looks like...
Kinda, yeah. I think
looks like kind of a watery surface. Well, for a snow globe, I want it to be a little bit more
Yeah, I think you can see it.
I want it to be a little bit more smooth. So I've got a couple choices. You could always use it just like this if you wanted to. But for snow globe, I think it needs to be fairly smooth. So I'm going to bring my paper back in. And as long as we're doing it, let's go ahead and put a layer of our glittered embossing powder in here. Because in a snow globe, you have glitter. So I'm going to tap this all over my paper. Let's get our glittered embossing powder out from last week. I did not send more glittered embossing powder because you still should have some of that left, because that was a pretty big container too. I also want to point something else out to you. See how from the heat my image wants to buckle a little bit? We need to start working that back right away. Because one of the things you will find in the UTEE is that it's so thick that once we get a couple of layers on here, if we try to bend it, it will break. You can actually break the surface of it because it's a very thick formula. So I started rolling my paper back a little bit there. But it's kind of hard to do till after it's cooked. But while it's still warm, I'm going to start shaping it. I'll get it here under my gun. You know, you put those lights out, Margie, but you didn't turn them on.
Good catch. And now I put the camera.
Well, I just noticed that I didn't have any shade that I had last week.
I don't know if that helps.
I don't know, does that help or hurt your ability to see what's going on, guys? Give me feedback and we'll do it whatever way it's best for you. And where I was doing my smoothing, it's helping. It's late. Got my fingers in it while it's hot. That's okay. It's not going to hurt anything because we're going over the top again. And I didn't actually burn my fingers. I just stuck to it. Although you could burn your fingers, so I don't advise doing what I just did. Okay. Let's get our... I think since I stuck my fingers in it, I'm going to go ahead and put another layer of our... Oops, put that on paper. I'm going to put another layer of our glitter embossing powder on it. I need another sheet of copy paper. We saw the coolest technique though the other day. Did somebody recommend that to me? I guess it was in one of the links that Roberta sent me, where this lady was using like a U-line or another really heavy big catalog while she was working on her stamping and gluing and embossing. And every time she finished with the process, she turned the page. And if you're going to throw that catalog away anyway, what a great idea. Yeah. I thought that was a terrific idea. So I've got my stamp, I've got my stamp pad ink all over it. I'm going to roll it back on itself a little bit again. Again, it's a little tough to do until it's cooked, but my goal there is to get that to roll back a little bit, and as it cooks, it helps a little. Okay, now let's go ahead and put this one more time. This time I won't stick my fingers in it immediately, okay? What happens is as this embossing powder is cooking, the UTEE underneath remelts. So you know how I told you you can crack it? My snow globe one broke badly. And I thought, I wonder if I can bring it back by reheating it. The answer was yes. I just reheated it and the powder melted again. And the crack was gone, or largely gone. I can see it because I knew it was there, but nobody else would know it was there. So that was pretty cool to learn that I could do that. Now let's see what we have. We're getting closer to the finish we want. I'm trying to turn it a little bit so you can see. I'm hoping that maybe you can catch the shine a little bit. Oops, I got it under me. There we go. Catch the shine and the glitter a little bit. Are we getting there at all? Okay, so we've got the nice glittery finish in it. That's perfect. You know, it's really smooth now too. I have the UTEE underneath. I have the glitter on top. There, you're getting to see some angles there. See that? So I think it's pretty smooth. And I think we should go ahead and use it. I could put another coat on it if I wanted, if I want the image to be even deeper. Just remember what I said though, the heavier you get the powder on there, the more careful you have to be that you don't break it. So I'm pretty pleased with where that is, really. And it's no longer, the glitter's no longer coming off because it's baked right into the embossing enamel. It's fine. It's still a little bit pliable. I think that makes kind of a perfect combination. I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to glue my ring in place around it. And this is just scrapbook paper, guys. I mean, literally, you just saw me cut it out of a piece of scrapbook paper. So can you imagine how cool it would be to get, you know, some of those, I know you'd get some good images from like some of the little 6x6 pads where you have a smaller Santa and elves, or smaller Santa and reindeer, or you want to take a select piece out of a scene. Think about that when you're shopping for your paper. And I'll bet you can find some really great images that you can just cut out and make a snow globe just like that. Just that simple.
Absolutely. And another diversity to do with these too is that you can add your snowfall acetate or your snowflake acetate.
Of course.
And make it more of a 3D. Mirri had recommended that you could maybe make a 3D globe for kids.
Sure.
They make great shaker cards. I've used mine for shaker cards.
What a great idea. Yeah. Shaker cards would be fun. Okay. So I've got my ring on. I see I've got a little bit of glue seeping there. And as we've said, that's the difference between things looking really professional and not. So I'm going to clean that off. It's not going to hurt my embossed image at all because that's now shiny, and all I'm really doing is just cleaning up my mirror board because I want that to be nice and sparkly and look like ice. So I'm going to take this back to my card that we've created. I'm going to begin to lay this out. I've got my base here. And I need to decide where I want my base to go. Now your base is going to overlap this ring a little bit because that globe's going to be sitting down in that base, right? Looks like I put my ribbon on just a little, or my bow on just a little bit lower this time, so I'm going to have to be careful about my spacing. It'll be fine though. It's going to be fine. I want my base to be straight. So I'm going to put some glue on the back of this. I'm just making that lay down a little bit by rubbing it just a little bit on the back. And now I'm going to get some glue. I am going to hold this in place when I glue it a little bit. Once I'm sure I've got it exactly where I want it, that is. And I know this is going to have to come up pretty high on my bow from the little pre-layout that we did there. I could probably come down just a tiny bit without hurting anything. So I brought it down just a little. And I like that now. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue my base to it. And my base is going to lay up over the top just a little bit. Just until the globe fits inside the base. And now I'm going to hold everything here for a minute and let everything tack down good. This would be a beautiful ornament. It absolutely would. In fact, you could, if you wanted to, here's a thought, you could take photographs and put inside the globe.
Yeah,
And that would be fun
that would.
for an ornament, wouldn't it? Maybe you have a pet that your grandkids really especially like. You could make an ornament of the pet for your grandchild for Christmas and date it on the back with the pet's name. Maybe a message from the pet. So here we go. We've got that on. Now let's scatter our snowflakes a little, and one of the things I want to encourage you to use a fair number of snowflakes on this one. I just think they look good on here with the colors of ribbon and stuff. And see how I've put this one right over the top of my ribbon? I like the layering of that. So I'm going to put one of my snowflakes right over the top. And as I said, I didn't cut enough snowflakes, I don't think, to finish my card. I
Do you
am
want me
going
to
to.
run more for you? I'm done with the ribbon.
Sure, you can do that.
Okay.
Oh, I was going to make these glittery. That's what I said I was going to do. Well, I'm not, but I could. I could make these glittery just the same way that we made the snow globe glittery. Especially since I'm the only one working here. Use your imagination and we have these glittery. Mary wants a snow globe ornament of Teddy for Christmas, and she said, "And thank you in advance." Well, it's the least I could do for your surrogate puppy. That'd be the least I could do.
Now I'm just dumping things.
Glue the points of your snowflakes too, so they don't get, they don't bend back with your card being handled.
Do you have some of the paper I can use?
Sure. I have it right here.
Perfect.
Okay, good. I'll let you cut my pieces in advance. That'll save us some time. I like that idea. Okay, so you volunteered for snowflakes and just got a whole bunch of things.
It's the least I can do. Thelma, you are in chat.
Hey, Thelma. Welcome, friend. Just kind of spreading these out a little bit, and this card will be done here, guys. You like this one? I think there's some neat ideas here, whether this is your style of art or not. I think there's some really fun, neat little ideas in doing this, and even more ideas that we've come up with together. So I'm liking that a lot. I probably will put on an odd number of snowflakes. Tends to look better in odd numbers. Don't know why, it just does. That nothing says it can't be a little tiny one. I'll probably put on 2 more because this is going to take me to another place again. That one wants to stick to my finger more than it wants to stick to my card. But you guys can see where we're going. I'll probably put another one here and maybe a little one over here. And there's our card. How cute is that? Cute, cute, cute. One down. A beluga whale card. What'd you do last night? Oh, I made a beluga whale card. Not everybody can say that, can they? No. Okay. One down. Let's look and see what we're going to do next. Okay. I think that we should have Margie cut us.
I'm still working on snowflakes over here.
I need a base piece and a snowflake for this card. Let's make this one together next. You can cut both pieces at once if you want.
Hand me the base.
A glue?
The base?
The base. The base.
Right.
Yes.
There you go.
And you could go ahead and take it apart and layer it too if you wanted to. Since you guys already know all about doing that now, let's get out a piece of our working paper. I should have given you 3 because of the snowflakes. I only gave you 2. But that's okay. That wasn't a shorten your kit. That's what I told you I was giving you was 2. But it'd be good to have another extra piece of white out for your snowflakes. Oh, I know what my thought was on the snowflakes, and I just forgot about it temporarily. I gave you that white glitter paper, and I was thinking we'd get the snowflakes out of there, so we only needed 2 pieces of working paper for our stamping. But then it was late, and I forgot. And, well, you know how that goes. Mine like a steel trap I've got these days, guys. Okay. This is in case I forget my name. My debit kit sticker. Is that the, are there are 2 of these in here?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you hate me?
No, I don't. The Totally Tiffany embossing stations have come in. They only had 2 in stock. And I'm understanding from them that they no longer have them on, or from another customer, that they no longer have them on the website. So I don't know if that means they're being discontinued or what. If you want one, watch for it to go up and get it right away. Because there's only 2. They run $39 something, I think. And it,
34.
yeah, 39 something, right? Yeah. Okay, Margie gave me some snowflakes and some base pieces. Okay, I used my ring and I cut myself a stencil. And I wanted to, yes, the opera red mirror board is in the store, Mary. I wanted to put down some color in my background for this scene before I started stamping. And we're going to make this one just the same way. So I have my stencil right here. You can see I actually already used it as a stencil. I'm going to tape it down with a couple of pieces of my tape. Do you have the tape over there, Margie?
No, I do not.
Oh, here it is, right here. I cleaned my desk and I still can't find anything, guys. I will link the Opera Red mirror board for you. Oh, good. There you go. Okay. So I'm going to, I only need this to be as big as this so I can recover from my blender on my cardstock usage because I can cut my other one out of the same piece of paper. Har har. All right, I'm using my Arctic Mist stamp pad, and I'm just going to stamp it right in there. I can get by with that with this one because the color is so very light. I'm not sure I'd do it this way if it were a darker color, but this is such a light color that I can get away with just actually stamping right off the pad and saving a little time with my blender sponges. There we go. I've got my nice frosty background I wanted. Peel this up. There is my frosty background. That's my stamping area. I want everything to be within that area. I'm going to bring my stamp platform down now. And let's look at our card. Oh, it's right here. Let's look at our card. Remember that when we're stamping, you're going to do the items in the foreground. This will not seem right, but it is. It seems like you would start at the background and work your way forward, doesn't it? But you don't. You start with what's closest to you, which is going to be the snowman and the tree. The snowman's the closest, the tree is second, and the background will be third. I'm going to stamp my snowman, then I'm going to mask him. I'm going to stamp my tree, and I'm going to mask it. And then I'm going to stamp my background over the top. So let's do that. You'll remember that masking just means you're stamping on a separate piece of paper, and then you're using that to protect the stamped area behind it while you continue to stamp more elements. So first I need my snowman, whichever snowman I decide to use. I actually used the top hat guy last time. So I'm going to need my snowman, and I'm going to need my tree. There's a couple different trees in there. I used the evergreen looking tree. And I'm going to, I want my tree to be a little bit higher up. It's kind of sitting on the hill. And I want my snowman to be pretty much right in front. Then I need to make sure my snowman image fits cleanly within my background area. And because I stenciled this in and I have that light blue ring, I can tell what's in and what's not in my image. And I think my tree is a little bit higher here than it is on my original. I have some room to move it, but I'm going to put it right there. I'm going to make sure that the solid side of my stamp is facing me and that the detail is towards my page. I think I slid that down just a little as I touched it. So I'm going to put that back. I'm going to use my stamp positioner and I'm going to pick that up. Then I'm going to get my hybrid ink pad out of our kit. We have this little Pink Fresh hybrid ink pad. We're using the hybrid ink pad because we're going to color some of this. And if we're going to color it, then we don't want it to bleed. So the hybrid ink pad will allow us to use our colored pencils or our markers or our paintbrush, our water brush, and our stamp pads to pick up color and move it in. And when we add that color, it's not going to make those watercolors bleed, and we're not going to lose the lines to our stamp. We got a really nice clear image that time. So I'm going to clean off my stamps, recap my hybrid ink pad, because that's a tiny little dude and I don't want to get in too much air. I'm going to put these stamps back on my sheet. And because I've already done this before, making up your samples, I already have my masks cut. I told you before, and let me remind you, that I like to make my masks out of Post-it note, sticky all over pads, because this has sticky all over the page. It makes a wonderful mask, and because it's that Post-it, it doesn't tear up. So I'm going to bring my mask that I've already stamped on another piece of paper and cut out. I'm going to bring it, and I'm going to, oh, it's losing some of its sticky. Trying to curl a little bit. I've actually used them a few times, but as long as it stays in the same spot, I'm okay. And now I have a mask. I also have a mask cut of my tree. So I'm going to put the mask right over the top of my tree. You'll notice I didn't bother to mask his arms. That's more fussy cutting than I want to do. Now I want my background stamp. And my background stamp has a nice snowy sky. I'm going to try and line this up. I'm going to line up this stamp. I have to put a little piece of adhesive there to hold that in place while I'm working. Here, I just bragged on Post-it notes and how they're nice and sticky, but it has been used several times, so in fairness to the Post-it people.
The Post-it people, thank you, I'm sure.
They should send me a truckload of them. I still think the Coca-Cola people should send me a truckload of Coke, but I keep waiting. It hasn't shown up yet. Because have I ever done a class I didn't talk about my love for Diet Coke? I don't think so. Okay, I got my masks in place. I've got my stamp in place. It's circling my ring nicely. My images are masked off, so the lines will go onto the mask and not over the top of my tree and my snowman. I'm going to pick up that stamp. I'll push my snowman down yet again. I have one more chance to make sure he's straight. One more chance to make sure my tree's straight. Just stick there, would you please? And I'm going to ink up my big stamp here. It's got a ring around the outside. We want to be nice and solid. It's got some nice snowflakes and stuff on it. It's got the ground lines. It's a big enough stamp that if I press down hard on it, it's possible that I could maybe get a little bit of shadowing. So I'm taking out just a little bit of the ink that kind of overlapped and reprinting my snowflakes there without having the big splotch of ink in the middle of my stamped image, although it's probably pretty safe. They're not bad about doing that. I bring my ring down. It is a good size stamp, so I'm going to push it down good all the way around. Margie and Glinda recommended running a brayer over it with a great big stamp like this. I thought that was a good idea for nice even pressure.
Hands hurt. Have to come up with.
What's that?
I said my hands hurt, so you have to come up with different ways of doing things.
I removed my mask. My tree looks clean and beautiful. My snowman looks clean and beautiful. Move my masks back to my sheet for save for next time. I think next time I'll probably have to recut them really, but that's okay. And I have my beautiful stamped image. It's time to add a little color. And ow. What do I do with my markers? There. These are coming soon. I just got enough of these in for us to each have one. These are from Spectrum Noir. It's a set of watercolor markers in a trial pack that's very affordably priced. And it's the primary color, so we can mix any color we want. And it also has a Pigma art liner pen in it. And so we're going to be talking about coloring your stamped images soon. And I thought this would be a nice way to try that out without spending a fortune on watercolor markers. So I'm going to grab a couple of these. I'm going to make these markers are fine point on one end and bullet tipped on, or a brush tipped on the other. I'm going to make the band of his hat red. And I'm going to color the little berries red. It's only just the slightest amount open in the carrot, so I'm going to give him just a hint of red in the carrot to kind of make it look like it's orange. I'm going to get my green pen here, and I'm going to color what's left of my tree. Although I will tell you, I went over everything. The marker won't bleed, and by going over the dark lines as well as the open areas, I got a really nice deep foresty green in my tree where the black is, and then a lighter green, which I thought was really appealing. It looked nice. There's no real open area on the trunk, so I'm not going to worry about trying to color the trunk a different color. All I'm doing, guys, is just adding just ever so slight details. Oh, I've got holly in his hat band, so I'm going to color his holly up here just a little bit. And then I'm going to take my blue and I'm going to kind of accentuate the snow. Now, if I wanted to, I could do this with a water brush and get an even lighter line. But since we have or I could use my my Arctic Mist, my Arctic Mist pad. And I could just make that a little bit deeper tone of the same color as my background. But in the interest of time, that's all I'm going to do right there. That's all the coloring I'm going to do on it. Because we have that nice light background in there. And the colors are going to accentuate a little when we put the powders on it. Debbie, what are alcohol markers and how are they different from watercolor markers? That is a most excellent question. They're very different. Alcohol markers, watercolor markers are the base material is water. And so it's like watercolor paint that's deeply infused into a water base. That's what you get with a watercolor marker. An alcohol marker, alcohol is the base fluid into which the color is infused. And alcohol markers are perfect for some jobs. Watercolor markers are perfect for other jobs. With a watercolor marker, probably the greatest claim to fame for a watercolor marker is that you can pull the color and lighten it. Mm-hmm. So if I'm painting a teddy bear, I can put down an edge, an outline on my bear, and then I can pull the color into my bear and get gradations of color that way. An alcohol marker is very different. An alcohol marker, its claim to fame is also blending properties, but it blends very differently. Alcohol ink soaks into the paper for blending anyway. It sinks into the paper, it mixes with the ink from your other alcohol markers, and it creates a very smooth blended line between colors that way. One of the drawbacks of alcohol markers is that they will bleed through your paper. So when you're working, an alcohol marker will bleed through. You need to protect your work surface. Why would you want to do that? Because the blending properties of alcohol markers, which is like Copic markers, Sharpie markers are also alcohol markers. And then we have our Spectrum Noir, and we now have our Prism markers from Hunky Dory. There's lots of different brands of alcohol markers, and some are better than others. The difference in quality will show in the amount of pigment and some of the blending properties and the colors of the ink. You get truer colors and more vibrant colors as you climb up the ladder towards more expensive markers. Alcohol markers are also perfect for non-porous surfaces. So if you want to color your peel stickers, if they're currently silver, and you want that peel sticker to be blue, you can take a blue alcohol marker and actually color that sticker, make it blue, and the alcohol ink will stay on that sticker. It will dry there. But, good for you, Betty. So it will dry on non-porous surfaces. You can use alcohol markers on plates. You can use alcohol markers on glass. You can use alcohol markers on acetate. You can use alcohol markers on glossy paper where water-based inks just won't dry. So they're very, very different tools, but in this class, we're going to explore both of them. And we're going to try them both so you can see for yourself what some of the differences are. Okay, I'm going to cut out this snow globe with I could cut it with my die, actually, if I wanted. Margie's got my die. You want to tape it down and just cut that out for me?
Can you hand me the ring?
Which will be smoother than my cutting it by hand would be. I'm a pretty good cutter, but, it's still. While she's doing that, I'm going to cut some strips from my paper and create a base.
Can I have your tape?
So,
thank you.
How many of you have worked with alcohol markers and, you've done some of this exploration on your own? There's really some cool stuff you can do with alcohol inks, I gotta say. Wonderful, beautiful stuff you can do with alcohol inks. And some of you may be more expert in it than I am. I know what all the materials are because I've been selling them for years and years, and I've used them a great deal, but I couldn't promise to be an expert. Oh yeah, there's a lot of Tim Holtz that's alcohol based. That's because Tim Holtz does some really cool projects. And we'll play with some alcohol inks and let you guys see what you think. I'll try. In fact, I'm not certain, but I think that Crafter's Companion created one of these trial sets with alcohol inks too, didn't they, Margie? Yeah.
Yes.
Didn't we see some? I think we saw
Yes.
some. And that would be excellent to just get a trial set. You guys can expand it on your own, you know, depending on what tools you decide you like to work with. But just by getting some of these inexpensive trial sets for you guys to just have an opportunity to use a decent brand. Spectrum Noir is a good brand. And the Hunky Dory ones are a good brand. And then if you like them, we have more available in the store, but you don't have to make a major investment until you see what you would like. And we will work with both. We'll do some basic coloring and other techniques with both kinds. Okay, Margie gave me back my image. Isn't he cute? He's adorable. We're going to, and that circle die that they enclose here perfectly fits this, so it's just really neat. What did I do with my embossing paper? This will work. Okay, let's put down some sparkle on this first, because after all, it is a snow globe. So let's do some prism pad over the top. And you'll notice nothing smudged here when I was putting on my marker. Now I would not rub like this. Don't rub like this, because you probably could pull that with the embossing pad. But stamping down straight over the top, we're not getting really any run. I'm going to get my glitter jar out here. I got these markers, and I was going to go ahead and do a floral image with you with the new markers. And then I started looking at the calendar, and I thought, we need to do anything that's holiday related that we're going to do right now. And I had another set that I wanted you to play with, or at least offer you the chance to play with, that's really cool to do some snowflake stuff. So that's what we're going to do next week. I'm still working on your kit, actually, but I'll show you the two samples I have done, and they're turning out really, really pretty.
Jerry wants to know if you're using glitter or glitter embossing powder in that.
I'm using the Wow that we mixed up last week with the extra fine glitter in it. So if you have the kit from last week, that's what I'm using on here. Now, if you don't have that, and you want to try this project, there's a couple different things you could do. You could put down some glitter accents with your Quickie glue pen and put some glitter accents on, then stamp over the top and pour your stuff over, and you'll still get glittered accents. You could take a little bit of your powder and you could mix it with some of your extra fine glitter. I know you guys probably have tons of little packets of those now from our different projects. You could mix some yourself. I missed a spot. Now this looks beautiful. We have a gorgeous glittery shine to everything. And it's a fairly smooth surface, but it just isn't quite glossy enough for me yet. So we're going to put some of our Ultra Thick Embossing Enamel over the top. Now you may be wondering at this point, what's the difference between the Ultra Thick Embossing Enamel and the Wow that we worked with last week? And the answer is not an awful lot other than the grain size. This is much chunkier. Sometimes it will take 2 coats in order to get a smooth coat. This one is super duper fine, but in order to get the depth of the finish you want, you might have to use it 3 or 4 times. This one's going to get her done in 2, probably at the most, coats. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. So we'll hit it again with our Prism glue pad, or not glue pad, embossing pad. Opening up my UTEE. This is often known by just the initials of Ultra Thick Embossing Enamel. It's called UTEE. UTEE. Once again, we got that really thick, sandy finish. I'm going to put it on my platform because this dude will get hot, hot, hot because of all the enamel on it. And I don't want to burn my fingers. Look everywhere. It's pretty good. I'm going to reheat one little area here and see if it might run together a little bit. I kind of have some droplets like we had on the first one. And sometimes you can reheat that area a little bit and it will kind of smooth out. This one's pretty smooth now. You will see that it's a little bit concave, and I'm going to straighten that out when it gets cool enough to touch, and I'm not ruining it by getting my fingers in it. Can you see the gloss a little bit? It's pretty glossy. I think just in the interest of time, I actually see a spot I didn't get very well. I was going to say in the interest of time, I'm not going to do it again, but I am going to do it again because I have one area that just really didn't cover very well. So I'm going to come back in and I'm going to hit that area that didn't get a lot. And that's just discretionary, you know, you just have to decide when you think it's done. You can always put another coat or you can skip it and go on. Oop. I'm going to roll this back a little bit because the stuff is getting heavier and I don't want it to break on me. But I do know how to repair it if it does. One of the things that's fun about watching this polish or this embossing enamel melt is that it remelts the embossing powder underneath too, and you can kind of see the glitter shifting around as you're heating it, which is kind of cool to watch.
It's just satisfying to watch it change.
It is. We were talking about that last week, that it is totally satisfying to watch embossing powder change. Now we've got a really nice glossy finish. Can you see that?
Mary says
That's
that
beautiful.
you will like this card specifically, Brittany.
I know. She sent me the sample and I said, it's a snowman.
Okay. All right, what do we got left to do here? We've got our base made. As soon as I figure out what I did with it. We're so close to done here, guys. This is awesome. We're almost done with this one.
Daria says that she is covered in glitter. She's wearing glitter, excuse me, not covered. Wearing
The very
glitter.
best projects make that happen, Daria. The very best projects make that happen. So when I tell you something's fun, it probably means it's going to be messy. Okay, we got our snowman. Our snowman's relatively flat. We got our base for our snowman. We're going to cover our true 5x5 card. I'm saying true 5x5, and then we had the other 5x5s because you'll recall that our old 5x5s said they were 5x5s, but they were actually 5 1/4. One of the projects I wanted the slightly bigger one, and the others were fine with this one. Although I made it bigger last time, I'm going to make it a little smaller this time. I'm going to cover this with my Opera Red Mirri. This just looks so good with these deep red stripes in this piece of paper. And the little, I don't know if you can see on your screen, but the little hashed lines and the little stripes on my paper, they're stripes, are really deep forest green and black. So this Opera Red Mirri board just really sets it off. It looks great. I have embossing powder everywhere. I cleaned it all up just before class started. And yes, when you wonder, is she rubbing that on her pant leg? Yes, she is. Let me just fess up to it. I don't want to get anywhere near heat sources. My legs would crackle. Take my pants off this evening and stand them in the corner. Okay. If I was smart, I'd lay a towel across my lap, but I never claimed to be really smart.
Hey, that's not a bad idea.
Just an old shop towel, that'd be great.
I'll never remember to do it, but it's a good idea.
Isn't that neat, Daria? Yeah, that's what I was talking about, that Totally Tiffany embossing stand. It's a neat device.
It's up and listed.
What's that?
It's up and listed.
I did. Oh,
It's
it's
up
up
and
and listed.
listed.
Brittany said that's up and listed. It's first come, first serve, guys. So, okay. They only had 2, or I would have gotten more because I've had several requests for them. So, okay, let's see. What did I do with that paper now? I just kept shoving all these papers back over and back over and back over, and now I have a mess over here. But what's new? I always have a mess over here. Okay, where'd my papers go? That's those. Here it is. Okay. All right, you want to die cut some elements for
Yes.
me, Margie? Here is the sample. And, whoops, that's not it. This is it. here's the sample. Here's this and this and this. And you won't need any red. I gave you a piece of red mirror board in the kits, even though you're not using it, because there is a die cut house in the kit that I thought would be cute on the red. And I had one more color available, so I just gave you that one too. Okay, this is a true 5x5. So I'm going to start by cutting this to 4 1/4 or 4 3/4 by 4 3/4 and see what I think.
Debbie, I'll need the tree. Die.
Okay. How about if I just
Pass them this direction?
pass you the pack?
Absolutely. Okay.
There are really quite a few dies in here, and I love the size of this snow globe. I think it's wonderful. I'm actually going to try and save a little time, and I'm going to go right to 4 5/8 because I think that's where I'm going to end up. So I'm going to go to 4 5/8
Something tells me you've done this before.
by 4 5/8. Well, I usually cut it a little smaller and then cut it some more, but it's just right. Okay, while Margie's doing that, I'm going to tie myself a bow. And even though I glued this one on, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it over the edge of my card just because I can. So I've got my green. Where's my red bow maker? Confuse you guys. Well, ignore what I'm doing, guys, because I'm using a different size bow maker, but it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. It's just on your bow maker, this would be a 4. I'm making a size 4 bow.
Now, on this glitter paper, when you run them through the die,
Uh-huh.
you may want to put a shim in there just
Yes.
because it is a little bit thicker and
Good point, Margie.
it can peel right off the paper if you don't.
Okay, did you guys hear that? So when you're cutting your images from the glitter paper, shim it. Just to make sure that it cuts all the way through, it doesn't peel on you. Okay? Okay. Okay, I've got my green bow. I'm going to lay it across the corner here. I'm going to not go as deep with this one as I did with the last one because on this true 5x5 card, I just don't have that much room. So, but you can see, even though we gave you shorter pieces of ribbon this time, you have ample ribbon to get the job done. And you could even corner it again on the bottom if you wanted to, I think. Brenda says, thanks for the tip on the glitter paper. That was a good one. Okay, I'm going to peel my tape. I'm going to wrap right around the corner of my, in my case, striped paper. In your case, more likely than not, yours will be a plaid paper because I think there's only 2 or 3 kits out of the lot that got stripes. I really like the plaid, but the stripes are really cool too. I wouldn't give you anything I didn't like, and I did like it. Okay. I'm going to go ahead, even though my sample didn't call for it. I have a little piece of this left, and it just looks so cute to wrap this bottom corner that I'm going to go ahead and wrap this bottom corner just because I can. And it's cute, so why not? There, yeah. And we are ready to glue our snow globe and our base down. I'll start by laying it out and seeing where I want things to be. You can see it's a little tighter on the 5x5, but I actually wanted it to be a little bit tighter. Because I thought these images were just the right size for this size card. So I'm going to I've got a good eye now on where I want this to go. I'm going to put my glue down. I'm going to glue my snowman in place. Now, if perchance you put more layers on, and if perchance you're doing that process I was just doing where I'm kind of bending it back the other way to make it lay flat, and it cracks, don't panic. Go back to your heat gun. Let it work over that area, remelt that area, and it will repair the greater part of the damage. It's just nice to know that if you have a blunder like that, it will kind of take care of itself. I'm going to move this up just a little bit. Boy, I got a good bond there. Maybe I won't move it up. It wants to stay right where it is, and you know what? I'm not going to make it leave. I'll just let it overlap a little bit. Sometimes it's not worth that extra fraction of an inch. You just leave it alone. Now, Margie gave me a bunch of snowflakes a second ago. I'm going to take one of these snowflakes. I'm going to bring back in my embossing paper.
There are a few more behind you if you need them.
Okay.
I mean, behind the station.
I'm going to get my ink pad. I'm going to tap that really good on that snowflake. I'm going to get some of the Ultra Thick Embossing Enamel. Using this stuff on paper or other surfaces, you can actually thicken them enough to make jewelry and other things using this UTEE. If you research it a little bit online, there's all kinds of projects that use this UTEE. I wasn't sure we could get it anymore because it's a product that's been out for a really long time, but it's still kicking. Okay, I got that heavy sand on here. I'm holding it by the end of my tweezers. I have a little trick here. Once I get it nice and frosty, I'm going to bring it back and I'm going to dip it right in that embossing enamel again. I'm going to come back. And it's getting better, but I'm going to dip it one more time. Coming back one more time. I think it needs a little more ink on it. Wasn't quite inky enough to pull off what I wanted to do. When I was working with this the other night, I was able to dip it right into my pile a couple of times, and I got a nice thick coat of UTEE. Now this is going to work though. A nice thick coat of UTEE over my snowflake. Well, that's interesting. I don't know if I burned it or is what I'm humming about. I think I burned it. I'm going to start again. Get a big one again. I think I got it too close. So another little thing you don't do. You can always count on me to show you what not to do. Yes. You know, we're all friends here. Okay, I'm going to hold that back a little bit this time and not go quite so long. I got all carried away. Well, that was not my slicker move. Where we're trying to go here, guys, is to show you that you can get some buildup on the snowflakes. And I think you might just have to take my word for it because we're running out of time and I want to do this last card. You actually have 2 cards left in your kit. Ooh, got it hot. I got it hot. But you can begin to see the buildup on here. Let me show you this and let me show you my original. This one, let's see, I've got to get it down here where you can actually see it. And I have to go opposite the way I think
You're off. Go back. There. No. Now up just a tad. That. And nope. Back to your right.
I can see
Right
it.
there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can see it.
It's there now.
Okay, and I want to show you the original because I got some really good buildup on the original. Can you guys see this snowflake here?
Yes.
See how much buildup I got on there? I actually domed it. So with a little patience and some time, you can actually build up those snowflakes with the UTEE and get a really nice finish on them. This is nice. I mean, it's wet looking, and guess what snow is? It's wet looking.
Alice suggests Bryce handy with wood and a saw. He could make some of these stands for you to sell in addition to everything else. No, can't even finish the sentence.
Yeah, the answer is nope, he's not at all handy with. There are some people for whom that is a gift. Construction and tool usage. I don't think he'll ever hear this YouTube video. Let's just say it's not his forte. I do, however, know people who are handier with power tools, and I don't know if any of them would be interested, but maybe. I can't copy their design, but you know, there's not a lot to the design. It's actually fairly easy. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe they'll just keep selling them, and that would be my preference, is just to get them from them. But okay, so we have our elements on our card. I'm going to glue it this time, guys, instead of taping it. Oh, and I want to point out one more thing, just in the interest of time, that I'm not doing. But you have really cool stamps and dies to do it, is you can put the name on the snow globe. Let me show you that as soon as I get this down here. So you can actually use one of the greetings that they give you, or if you're pretty handy with your handwriting, you could write somebody's name on this little tag. You know, if it's a baby's first Christmas ornament, you could write baby's first or Lily's first Christmas. Huh?
Sure
That would be a really good gift for family members, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. To do a picture of Lily in the snow globe, glitter it all up and make it beautiful. She's beautiful. Lily, Margie's granddaughter, both granddaughters are absolutely gorgeous. And then you could put Lily's first Christmas and give it
That
to
would be
people.
cute.
Wouldn't that be cute?
Yes.
Okay, I got
Good
my
idea.
snow. I'm going to glue my snow down. And then I want to show you my original again. You guys liking this? Is this good? Here's my original. This time I did it a little smaller and I used a different paper.
To me, towards me. There you go. Perfect.
You've got this, you've got a die. Is it a die? I think, is there a die there for that? Maybe I'm
No,
fibbing.
I did not see
There
one.
is a label stamp. Obviously, this is not fussy cutting. So there's a label stamp there. Just stamp that, cut it out, and you've got a perfect template to make your own. You could actually even make it a little longer if you wanted to write something longer on it. But there you go. That's 2. We're going to talk through number 3, and then we're going to make number 4. This is number 3 card that we are not going to do. This one, you're using your green paper and you're covering the other true 5x5. To make this little label, I stamped it on a piece of white paper. I took my rainforest green stamp pad and I edged it to make it look finished. And then I put my glitter embossing powder over it. I tied my other little green bow. This time I tied it with, I attached it with my best glue ever. If you don't have best glue ever, think about, you have the same size ribbon, I believe, as the other one we just finished. You could bring it up to the corner and bring it down here again if you wanted to, or just across the corner. When you stamp this one, let's think about the order of things. Remember, the thing that's closest to you is the first thing you stamp. The next thing further back is the next thing you stamp. The one behind that is the next thing you stamp. And the all over background will be the last thing you stamp. So your order of stamping for this card are stamp the snowman, then stamp him again and cut a mask. Stamp the tree, then stamp him again and cut a mask. Stamp the house. After masking both of these, stamp the house. And only after you've done that, cut a mask for the house. So now we're masking the snowman, the tree, and the house, and stamp the background. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. And then we've got our warm and cozy. I thought that went cute with the house. So everything else you've already done, but just think about your order of stamping. Okay, that is that card. Let's put together the one that's all made out of glitter paper. So we're going to start with our card base, which is the A6 card base. Can I see that sample? Oh, do I have it back?
Yes, right there.
Oh, yeah. We'll start with our stamp base, our card base. We're going to find our, we're going to find our all over snowflake paper. We're going to cover our card. I also missed talking about, well, I guess we can do it on this one. I also cut holly for the top of this one. Okay, we'll do that with the card that we're working on. So many fun things, so little time. I always manage to come up with more content than we can even possibly fill in the amount of time that we have. But I do so love bringing you things and giving you stuff to practice on and making you feel like you get a good value. So I can't help myself, guys. I always overdo what we have time for. Your kit ends up being a lot better deal, though, when you have materials for 3 or 4 or 5 cards than it feels like if you have materials for 2, even if you know that you can easily make more. You know what I mean? I always look at that cost per card, and I try really hard to make sure you always feel like you're getting a good value. Your mom wants to know they're so cute. Is that a hint?
I know. I said, "Is it, Mom?" I don't know, Mom. Is that a hint?
Okay, I've covered my card. I need this little greeting sheet here, and I'm going to go ahead and take Snow Bliss just because it's right here at the bottom, and I'm just going to rough cut around this, guys. Just rough cutting around it. I'm not cutting it in any particular way. I'm just kind of rounding it off, and I'll round a little about around the bottom. But look at all those greetings you get on that sheet. Isn't that kind of a fun way to do that? I thought it was fun. I'm going to take my green, my rainforest green stamp pad. And I'm going to go right around the edge. Now when you're inking around the edge, if you want a super fine line, keep your ink pad straight up and down. If you want a little bit more ink to show, then lean your pad slightly forward, and you're increasing the area that's touching the paper. I really kind of want a thin line, but I wanted to demonstrate that. So now I've got some nice green around there. Now it looks like it was made to look that way. I'm going to get my embossing paper out here again. I'm going to get my pad out here again. Whatever I have done with it. Whatever I have done with it. There it is.
I was going to say, I took my glasses off to fussy cut this. I can't see a thing. Can't help you.
I'm going to, oh, this is my messy pad, but that's okay. These prism pads kind of stink. Sorry about that. There's nothing I can do about that. They just stink. I didn't make them. I just sold them, but they stink. Get my Snow Bliss. Shake it off. Move my embossing powder out of the way so I'm not cooking it in the jar. And that, my friends, is all it takes to have a beautiful sparkly tag to go on our glittered card. Just like that. So we have Snow Blessed. And did I see? I did see that you had one of those done. Let's get a little glittered, a little piece of holly here. And my messy stamp pad. In case you're wondering what I did to my stamp pad, I was using it near gold embossing powder, and I got some on there, and it just kind of melted into the pad. It hasn't hurt my ability to use it, but it sure is ugly. Okay, get my tweezers. I have some little foreign material in there from using this so much. Got that out. super glittery, wonderful little holly. Now available. Margie just finished another one for us, so we'll do a second one.
The top is trying to come off. Bye, Daria. We'll see you next time.
Okay, here we go. Two glittery little hollies and a glittery little sign or sentiment for our tag. Isn't that fun? Okay, we're going to make our snow globe, and now it's really, truly a matter of, actually, there is one more step we got to do. We're going to now bring in our stamps, and we are going to stamp these pieces. So I've got those ready to go. I've got, do you have snowflakes cut out of glitter paper too?
There are 3 of them. I put them on top of here, so they're probably,
Okay.
that feels like one.
Now, these I can stamp in any order I want to because they are assembled. They are not stamped one on top of the other. Does that make sense? So it doesn't really matter what order I do these in. I think I'll do this one first because that stamp is still on my pad.
That's one.
So I'm going to
And there's one more.
position this such that it's going to hit this circle just right. And I'll keep working it around until I get that circle right under my stamped image. There we go. I'm going to give it some ink with my hybrid ink pad.
Now, since you're not coloring this, is there a particular reason why you need the hybrid ink pad?
I am guessing that the hybrid ink is going to hold on here better than water-based would because it's kind of a composite material. And I'm concerned that I'm not sure that a water-based ink pad is going to stay put and dry.
And hold.
I'm not positive it would dry. But look here.
And it doesn't bleed at all.
How cute, huh? So we got that one. We have a stamp for our base.
My mom says you're always thoughtful and have so many neat ideas. Just think, if you didn't do more and ran out of projects, it would be a terrible YouTube.
Okay. I'm going to position my stamp right on top of that die cut, right where I want it. I'm going to quickly run my, I know I'm keeping you guys late. I'm trying to finish up here. It's only going to take a minute now though, because it's just stamping and assembling these pieces, but it's so darn cute when it's done. Okay, put that back with my stamps. I'm going to bring my stamp platform down, pick up that base. Yes, it's headed the right direction. I'm going to stamp onto this. This stamp hasn't been used before, so I'm going to stamp on it especially well because I didn't bother to stamp it in my sample card. It looked pretty that way, with or without the stamped image on it. I just decided we'd do it this time since we have a stamp for it. Oh, I got it a little bit off, but we're going to assemble anyway, guys, because we don't have a lot of time. Unless you want to cut another one while I'm still doing. It'd work. I got it a little bit off. I was afraid when I lifted it, it might have gotten off and I should have repositioned it. Okay, I got a snowman. Do snowman like a snowman. And I used the one with the full hat. So let's put him on here. It's not as late as I thought it was. I just saw my watch.
6:15.
It's not that bad. It's not terribly bad. I know it's later back east than it is here, but thank you. We all know what happens when I hurry. I mess things up. Okay, I'm going to look as I bring it down, and yes, I'm pleased with the placement, so I'm going to go ahead. It wasn't that close. Okay, you guys got to be taking more time than I'm taking. I need a snowman too. I'm sorry. I did all of
No
these
biggie.
first try when I wasn't hurrying, but when I
No
hurry, I
biggie.
mess stuff up. Yes, you could stamp it first and then cut it out. Some of Hot Off the Press's stamp and die combos work better the other way around. They actually recommend the other way around. The snowflakes and stamps that we're doing next week, they actually recommend doing it the other way. But what I am going to do is turn this upside down and find my really good alignment and put it down and try not to move it. Turning it upside down, I think, will help. Okay, I'm going to take my time and get this one right, guys. Okay, here we go. I still like it all the way around. I think I do. You all holding your breath? It's perfect. This time it's perfect. Thank you for holding your breath with me. Okay, we got that one. We got that one. We're going to stamp on our tree. Wipe off our base. Get our tree stamp out here again. What do I do with my stamps? They're over here. Get my tree stamp out. Position it over my tree. Now this one's really easy to see through. I don't know why the others weren't. This one's really easy to see through. So I can get a really good alignment on the tree. As long as I don't move it out of alignment with my fingers, getting rid of it. Okay, there we go. Gonna ink it up. I did this card because I wanted to show you how easy it is to paper piece this. And of course, we wanted to do something extra special, so I did it with the glitter paper. That's a perfect tree. So we got that. Margie just cut me another snowman. I'm going to try the snowman again. And I'm going to do way better this time. Okay, so I'm going to get my snowman back out. What did I do with him? I have a different one. Doesn't matter. I don't have to find that one. I have a different one. My snowman's going to be wearing a white hat is all. This one's really nice and clear. So you can see where you're going to. But I'm still going to turn it upside down and line it. I think that's the trick, guys. Turn it upside down and align it. Then set it down carefully to maintain your alignment. Whether it works or whether it doesn't, we're going with it this time. I think it's going to work though. This particular design really could benefit from a little bit of coloring because he's got a really adorable scarf on. Oh, but it looks good. It looks good. I'm off just a tiny bit on the bottom. But not anymore. Okay, so I got this one. I got my tree. I got a glitter snowflake. I'm going to open up this snowflake. Take the little piece out. That's kind of fun. The glittery part stayed on the top. I'm going to leave it that way.
Yeah, I just figured, hey, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is
So I
kinda
left
cool.
it instead of picking it out.
So I'm going to, actually, I think I'll grab my markers and color his. Now this one, you only have to pay attention to what overlaps if your elements are going to overlap. If I had a house in the back, obviously I'd put that down first. But because I'm just layering my pieces, really doesn't matter. I'll put him in the front. And get my snowflake. Put it up on the back. You guys like this class tonight? Is it fun? It is a happy little tree, Brenda. Hey, Brenda, this would be an opportunity for you to be able to die cut all kinds of stuff, Brenda. Using your new die cutting abilities. I actually thought of you when I was doing this, thinking this would be a good one for Brenda. There's lots of die cutting. I got my colored tree with its snowflake. I'm going to put on my holly and my, oh, I guess I'm going to put it on my card before I put my holly on it, huh? I am going to color just a little with my, with my newly discovered markers because they're really pretty cool. I have this little bitty, itty bitty base tip that will be perfect for his little scarf. Because I can get all those little tiny spaces with it. The other nice thing about this pen set is that because it's a kind of a trial pack, they actually come with some stationery and projects in the kit that we'll actually use, because that'll save some money on your kit cost. Color in a little holly here. Or a little semblance of holly anyway. I'll give him a red band on his hat again. And then for his arms, what I did for his arms was to take the cinnamon swirls stamp pad and a water brush. And I just picked up some ink off my stamp pad and I colored his arms branch color. That's how I got that. You can give him a little brown for his carrot, or you could give him a little red, whatever suits your fancy. Or you could mix some orange. We need some blue in his scarf, and then I think he will be done. I could make his hat blue, I guess, but I'm not going to. Just going to leave it white for the sake of argument. Okay, now he's got a little bit more character to him. We're going to put him down on our card. We're going to position our elements so we can see where everything's going. I think I'm going to actually put down my Snow Blessed first so I can see where everything fits in relation to that. Got my Snow Blessed. I'm going to come down a little bit further here. I'm going to put my die cut just a little bit higher than center. I'm going to say it's the top of the dome is going to be at 2/3. I'm going to put my holly on top of the dome. And I'm layering 2 of these guys so I have more leaves. I'm letting all the leaves show and kind of overlapping the berries, because they look really cute. Look how cute that looks. And then we're going to put our stamped base. Thank you, Margie.
You're welcome.
Over our globe with our stamped snowman. Thank you, Margie. I'm going to put my base down here. Make sure you position your base so that it comes up on the globe. Remember, your globe is sitting into that base. We're going to add 2 of our sparkly snowflakes that Margie cut out of glitter paper. Maybe.
There should be a couple of them. There's one of them.
This is one.
There's one of them. That's one of them.
Okay, thank you.
One might be the other side, like it might have flipped over, so just double check, because they're a little cream instead of completely white, so you should be able to see a difference.
I'm going to be sure that I tack down the arms on my snowflake too, so that they don't get all bent up, because that will take it from looking fabulous to looking tacky. And I don't want that. No tacky snowflakes. Little dot on each one of the points. Just a little one. Off to the side. And there we go. Here's our original. So I do think that it looks better with the base stamp, don't you guys? It's just got more depth now.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
I agree.
Okay, so we have used all different kinds of techniques here today. We have used UTEE. We have used our wow with glitter in it. We've done some embossing. We've done some enameling with that UTEE embossing enamel. We've done some stamping. We've done some die cutting. We have layered, and we have made an aquatic snow globe, and we have remembered our stamping techniques and our masking techniques that we always start at the beginning, or start with what's closest to you and work your way back in the scene. And that is...
Great tip because it seems counterintuitive.
It does. It seems exactly opposite what it should be, but it only works that way. Let's take a look, if I can get my mess even slightly out of the way. Let's take a look at what's coming up, because you guys haven't seen these in real time yet.
Are you
I think
looking
I
for
put
the
them in here.
snowflake ones?
Yeah, I thought I put them in here.
I will take a peek.
Did you see the pie? I
They're
brought
right
you?
here.
Oh, they're there. Okay. This is next week. Thank you, Margie. This is Saturday's class. This is issue 61 of Tattered Lace. We're going to be die cutting. We'll be, we're going to be using the magazine. We're going to be using the furnished die set. And then, of course, I'm sending you all the stuff to build your cards. We are also going to be shaping our flowers a little bit. And I'm going to show you how to do that using, if you have one of these stylus tools, it's called a shaper or a large stylus. If you have one of these types of tools, have it ready to go. Let me turn it so you can see what I'm talking about. See the big head on it? If you have one of these, have it available. They make them even great big. Even this would work. Okay? So have a shaper if you have one. If you don't have one, don't worry. We can use the back of a pen or pencil. You want to have an embossing mat if you have one. If you don't, you can use the mat from our stamping platform, or you can use a mouse pad.
Or a flip-flop.
Or a flip-flop, Margie says. So anything that's got some nice give to it.
From experience.
We're going to make these 3 cards in that class in 3 different color groupings.
And if you guys have not used a tattered lace die, these are beautiful and you will be hooked.
Tattered lace dies are non-stick, have a non-stick coating on them, which makes them just wonderful to work with. This is the beginnings of next Thursday's class. This is going to be our class using the stamp and die cut snowflake set from Hot Off the Press. I have these 2 cards ready to go. This one and this one are currently ready. There will be a 3rd added sometime in the next few hours. So there we go. And you're right, Randy, you actually can do some of that in the palm of your hand. You are absolutely correct. I've used my fingers just to shape my flowers. This is for a week from Saturday. All of your cards are going to be 5x7. I'll tell on myself first. It was very late. I was finishing this up. I went to put this lower piece of ribbon on my 5x7 card. The ribbon dropped onto the face of my card. I pulled it up and I ripped up the paper after I had the card virtually finished. So what did I do? I could have started over, or I could say, I can salvage that, and I cut it down to an A6 card and retrimmed it, and it looked beautiful, so I kept it. Yours will be 5x7. All of these cards are 5x7. Look at this one. This paper is called Hortensia, which is another name for hydrangea. And this comes with, your kit will come with a set of chipboard tags. And I don't know how much you can see it in your vision there, but these are textured. We actually, several of the blooms on this blossom card are actually chipboard. And then we have a chipboard label here at the bottom, and we're using that beautiful metallic glitter ribbon again. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous set. This is maybe my favorite. I liked the background paper. It had a lot of interesting things happening in the background paper. Excuse me, but it was a little plain. I adored the fact that I could take the bird and put him on the stack of boxes or books, whatever those are. And I hung the bird cage, and the bird is looking up at the bird cage. And then we have a gold peel sticker up here holding the bird cage to the top. This is maybe my favorite. I love this one. I just love the inquisitive way the bird's looking at the bird cage. We have this one with this beautiful cabochon at the top from Jolie's. This is one that's going to be higher than 1/4 of an inch. So if you're going to mail it, you're going to have to anticipate that that is going to require additional postage, or this may be a hand deliverable, but it's beautiful on there. So there we go. It is beautiful. Your kit for this class will include a full sheet of these cabochons. It will include a half a sheet of these, which I don't remember how many is on there. It's like 80 or 90. You're going to get a half a sheet of these Aurora Borealis 3 millimeters. You're going to get a full bottle of stickles. Obviously, you're going to get all the specialty papers and layers that I've used on everything. Ignore this butterfly. It was late when I did it, and I stuck my hand in that. But it still was really pretty. I mean, I didn't have to say that. We would have thought it was pretty. But it's got 3 butterflies on it, and this tag says, butterflies come to pretty flowers. This card, we're going to use an entirely new technique I think you guys will be really excited about. I don't know if any of you have used it, but this card right here is actually, this background is black, and I'm using Blaze Opal Polish on it. And you guys, and I also use Blaze Opal Polish on the dragonfly. Do you ever notice how dragonflies look almost metallic if you catch them in the right light? We are going to play with a new material. You're getting an entire vial, a $6.99 vial of Blaze Opal Polish in this kit. And one of you, and I don't know who, I would love to credit the tip, and I just don't know who said it to me, but I don't forget things like this. Somebody told me that you can get 4 cards, 4 5x7 cards out of a 12 by 12 inch piece of paper. I'm going to teach you how to do that. You shared it with me. I've had it filed in the back of my mind, and we are going to get 4 cards out of a 12 by 12 inch piece of paper. We're doing that twice, and that's why we're getting 8 cards from 2 12 by 12 sheets of paper of this Hortensia paper. Look at her, isn't she beautiful? You're getting the peel corners. You're getting mirror board. I thought the stickles were particularly important on, oops, that's upside down. I thought the stickles were particularly important on this kit. That's why I'm including a bottle of stickles. So 8 cards, a vial of Blaze, a tube of stickles, rhinestones, peel stickers, mirror board, the Stamperia papers, the glitter cardstock. It is a rich, beautiful kit, and we are doing this a week from Saturday. 8 cards. It's a little more expensive because you have some specialty materials in here, but it's not terribly expensive for what you're getting, and you're getting 8 cards from the kit. So a soft piece of foam would do it. In fact, I've been doing my flower shaping on... That's a really good question, Glenda. I'll show you what I've been using to do my flower shaping. I've been using this packing material. 2 layers of this packing material make an absolutely outstanding embossing mat. So yes, a soft piece of foam will get the job done. Okay, that's it for those. You guys know that in a couple of weeks when we have all the materials, we will be doing masculine cards with glitter and glaze. But you've seen those before, so I'm not going to take up your time with that. This will be a bit of a surprise because there's one more card being added to this, and I don't know what that looks like yet. And Hortensia is going to be absolutely beautiful. If you haven't gotten issue 61 yet, get this. Do yourself a favor and get this one. That die alone is worth the price of the kit. Tattered lace dies are very expensive, and they estimate the value of this die to be as much as I'm charging for the entire kit. So get yourself an issue 61. You're going to be glad you did. These cards are magnificent, and they're great, great fun to do. We're going to be paper piecing this and doing some fun shaping and layering, and I think you'll really, really like it. So, whew, if you're watching and you did not yet leave me a thumbs up, please do so. I will be most grateful for that. That helps YouTube to know that our shows are worth watching and that they can feel good about recommending them. Excuse me. I've been talking a lot for a long time, but the heat's right down on me, so I had a really dry throat, sorry. So, any questions, comments, or pearls of wisdom before I allow you to get away for the day? You guys like this one? This was fun? Yeah? Two thumbs up again. Thank you, Betty McSorley. Thank you, Alice. I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys liked it. I had great fun making these, so I hope you guys have as much fun as I did. And I think it's time to say good night, Gracie. So good night, Gracie. See you Saturday.